So we always have 4 awards every week. We've got the Step It Up Award for a player that definitely needs to step it up. We have the Jekyll and Hyde Award, which is an award for a player that either played better than what we expect or worse than what we expected. And we've got the Most Underrated Player of the Week award, and then, of course, the MVP. So we're going to start with the Step It Up Award. I'm going to go first this time because I always let you go first, I feel like. Step It Up Award. Colton McKivitz. It's crazy because I've been on the line the whole time and I've had Spencer Burford here for 2 weeks. We're going to get to him in a second. But Colton McKivitz is just not, I don't know if he can step it up. That's the thing, right? Like, I want to see him step it up, but this is the 3rd week in a row that he just hasn't been very good at all. I mean, it is a clear downgrade from Mike McGlinchey. And I know a lot of people don't like Mike McGlinchey very much, and we're happy to get rid of him. And certainly for what he was getting paid, probably not worth the value, but he's way better than Colton McKivitz. And that, my friends, is not what you want to say about the new right tackle. So far through 3 weeks, very, very underwhelmed with Colton McKivitz.
I saw, and obviously it's PFF rankings, so take that for what you want. But I think that each week, Colton McKivitz has been ranked higher than Mike McGlinchey in their ratings. So I think that
let me say this. I haven't watched Mike McGlinchey this year, so I can't tell you what he is or what he isn't. I'm going off of Mike McGlinchey in this offense last year, right? Compared to this year. Now, Mike McGlinchey may be awful this year. I've seen some highlights. Those are highlights. He got rock bottomed again week 1. So I'm not saying he's great, and he may not be playing great this year, but Mike McGlinchey last year to Colton McKivitz this year, clear downgrade.
Yeah. I mean, I still got faith in my guy, but he's still young. He's still learning. But yeah, I mean, on that offensive line, if there is a weak spot, it's the right side, right? And him and Burford combined. But my Step It Up Award, it's kind of tough because I feel like in this game, all facets of it was a complete team win, I think.
For sure.
My Step It Up Award last week was Hufanga. He ended up coming down with an interception this game. So we already know, these awards are turning into benefits for the team. So, once again, those super chats, I appreciate you keeping these segments going. But my Step It Up Award, I'm going to go with the guy that, he's not playing bad and he has stepped it up before, but we're looking for consistency out of this position because we lost a fan favorite that was playing this last season in Jimmy Ward. I'm going to go back to Isaiah Oliver. He made some high impact plays a couple weeks ago that really gave us that feeling that, hey, maybe he could step up and be that guy, especially with the depleted secondary that we're having. There's not a lot of depth that we just trust behind, the top 3 starters. So I'm looking for Isaiah Oliver with, getting that chance. He was a high draft pick when he did get drafted into the league. He's always been a player that people said had a lot of talent, but never has really put it together and lived up to that talent. So I want to see consistency out of Isaiah Oliver. He's going to get an opportunity because Arizona has, 3 pretty good receivers, guys that are going to come out of the slot that we really need him to step it up. So Isaiah Oliver, you get my Step It Up Award. And, we already know that means you're coming into a big game, my guy. So
he might just play extremely well this week. And he said he technically give up no pressures. I don't know what his stat line was. I'm just telling you what I saw, and what I saw when I went back and watched it was very underwhelming. The other thing that we have to remember is that there is a run aspect side of this as well. There is a run blocking aspect, and they just effectively can't run to the right side for big chunks of games because of Colton McKivitz and Spencer Burford early in the season. We're going to talk about him in a second, or at least I am, which brings me, segue, to the Jekyll and Hyde Award. Spencer Burford, for 2 weeks, I've said you need to be a step it up player. Spencer Burford stepped it up. This week, he played very well. There was a lot that came out this week that if you watch him play, he was very impressive. He always moved his feet well. He's always able to get to the next level. But often what I was seeing from him is he'd get to the next level and just completely whiff block or not get his hands on anybody. This week was very different. He was able to make blocks downfield. He was able to move his feet. You were able to run behind him a little bit. He did a very, very good job this week. I want to give a shout out to Spencer Burford, but it is Jekyll and Hyde because the first 2 weeks, not so great. This week, much better. We'll see about going forward, but Spencer Burford, also very young player, still a lot of time for him to grow. The hope was he would make those improvements this year. First 2 weeks, that hadn't happened. This week, we're starting to see some of that ascension from him that we expected. So shout out to you, Spencer Burford. You deserve my Jekyll and Hyde award this week.
Yeah, I love that. And, I'm going to go with a young player as well for my Jekyll and Hyde award. And he's going to get it because, playing time is going to be an issue for him just because he's, deeper on the depth chart. But our guy Ayuk went down. Ronnie Bell came in, stepped it up, took full advantage of his opportunity, got a tutty, threw some great blocks in the running game. Really, obviously, I think Ayuk was missed, especially in that first half. But Ronnie Bell did way better than I think any of these, depth kind of receivers have done in quite some time, outside of obviously Juwan Jennings. But definitely want to give my Jekyll Hyde award to Ronnie Bell. And interestingly enough, what I think Ronnie Bell is doing, I wonder what's going to happen to Danny Gray on the depth chart when he does get healthy. I wonder if Danny Gray is going to turn into another guy that doesn't get a shot because he just can't crack the rotation. So it's going to be interesting that Ronnie Bell, is doing kind of what Juwan Jennings had done to some of the receivers that were drafted higher than him, where they make them, guys that probably won't be on the roster throughout their whole contract.
Yeah, and I think you make an interesting point about Danny Gray because Danny Gray, when he was drafted, it was like, okay, we got something different. We got somebody that's going to take the top off. This is something the 49ers don't have. When Ronnie Bell was drafted, it was like, that dude's a 49er. In fact, that was the first thing I tweeted when he got drafted. I'm like, that's a 49er. You can see it all over him. He's a great blocker. He's a decent route runner, but he's super tough. He can catch in traffic. He's a yak guy. He is an absolute 49er through and through. You saw that right away. Danny Gray, not so much, but we thought, okay, well, it's something different than what everybody else brings to the table. This will be good. I don't know that that's necessarily what Shanahan wants. I know that he thinks he wants that stuff sometimes, but Danny Gray can't stay on the field. He can't stay healthy. Ronnie Bell has already proven that he's valuable to this team more so than anything that Danny Gray's done, unfortunately. Right. And much lesser time. So, yeah, I think Danny Gray certainly is ripping any sort of roster spot. Not necessarily a roster spot, but the depth chart, he's ripping his spot completely away from him. There's no doubt about that.